G'day, Fiona, and welcome.
Thank you.
I have Fiona from Thrive Network with me today, and we're going to talk through a few things. We're going to talk through our Thrive Network that Fiona operates in Melbourne, and a bit about her space, and also Independent Coworking Australia and how it came about and where it is today. So thanks for joining me, Fiona.
Thank you for having me. It's very exciting.
Yeah, cool. So Thrive Network, can you tell us a bit about how Thrive Network came about?
Yeah, for sure. So I run another business, which is a social media agency that I've been running for about 13 years now. And that was my main business. And I had worked out of co-working spaces. So I had been working from home mostly, but I found that I was really isolated working from home. Like I would go and see clients and whatever, but a lot of time I was on my own. So I started going to co-working spaces and I really enjoyed being there. And it got to the point that my partner and I would talk about, oh, if we had a co-working space, we'd do this, or, if we had a co-working space, we might do that. And so it just, this idea formulated that we would start a space in our area, which is South Melbourne, sort of Port Melbourne area. And we looked at a few different spaces, and we initially were going to just start off really small. But my partner has really big ideas. We grew from this idea of just having like a little sort of co-working space that would maybe seat, have 10 or 12 desks and a meeting room into the 1,000 square metre behemoth that I currently find myself running. So that's kind of how it started. It was really just born from my experience of really enjoying co-working and everything that it offered. And then because my partner works in construction as well, he was really keen to sort of not only get it built, but also he was just really keen with the whole business model of co-working. So we've been open 3 years now. So this was probably 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, I don't think really co-working was as prevalent or as well known as it is now. So, we definitely had to do a lot of educating, and we said to people, oh, we're opening a co-working space. And they're like, oh, what's co-working? So that's how it came about.
Okay, cool. So 1,000 square meters, that's plenty of space to manage. So what's in the space? Meeting rooms, how many desks?
Yeah, so we're over 2 levels. So it's kind of, I think it's like 972 meters or something. So if you can just imagine 2 levels, they're exactly the same footprint. On one level, we have our reception area, we have meeting rooms and boardrooms, and then we also have open workspace. So it's all just open desks in banks of 4, and we have a big kitchen space and an atrium on that level. And that's where we have our day passes and just casual people come down onto that level, which is level 2, but we also have teams that work there. So we do find that some people that come in really want a private office, and some people really like to be in the open area. So it honestly just depends on how people like to work. So that's level 2. And then upstairs on level 3, we reserve that for our permanent members and private offices. So there's private offices, there's 12 private offices upstairs, there's 16 desks, and there's another full kitchen and another meeting room. And we've got 2 little Zoom rooms set up there now as well, and a big sort of open area collaboration space.
Okay, cool. And do you find, do you have anyone that sort of comes into the space and then the ability to grow? So they might come in to have a small area, then you have that facility to be able to.
Yeah, we do. So we've been pretty lucky in that respect. I've had one member who started in a 2-person office, went to a 3-person office, and now is in a sort of 5 or 6-person office. So he's just kept sort of, jumping offices. And we've been really lucky that they've been available every time he's wanted to move. And then we've got teams downstairs. We've got one team that started at 6 and now there's 10 of them. And generally what I do when people join the space is I try and get an idea of the business and where it's headed. So if someone comes in and says, look, we're a small team, but we're looking to grow, because a lot of businesses will already have that in their planning. I always try and put them in a space where I know I'm going to have more space for them. So we always as well prioritise our members for space. So if they come and say to us, hey, there's 4 of us now, but within 6 months we want to double our footprint, I'll try and make sure that I keep space available for them, so that they can grow and we can grow with them, they can grow with us, rather than them having to move out and find somewhere else.
Okay, that's great. So they got the chance to thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And look, we love keeping people here, because once you get a really nice community of people, it becomes like a family almost. Like everybody knows everybody else, and everybody's really respectful and caring of everybody else. So we just love being able to have members that stay for the long term with us. It's really what we're about as a space. We're not a space that has a lot of transient people come through. So we've been really lucky in that regard.
And I suppose that's really also on the mental health side, because some people do thrive in socialising and being with others, and can struggle on their own, and knowing they're supported. So having that community where they can connect and collaborate is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's just, even during COVID, when we were closed down, we were running a fortnightly trivia night for our members, and everyone was always so happy just to see everybody else's faces, and just sort of be able to have a chat and say hi, because they do really miss it. And it's funny, the information you get from members. Like that last week, one of the girls that has a permanent desk was away, and I said, I haven't seen Rochelle this week. And one of the girls from another team in another company said, oh no, she's on annual leave, she's gone here and she's doing this. Like they all know each other and what they're doing. So it's really nice.
Yeah, excellent. So, and you've got a collaborative space. So is that used to host events?
We did used to do events. So pre-COVID, we would do quite a lot of events. So we would do once a month an event for our members, like a wine and cheese night or bingo night or whatever we came up with. It was really just an excuse to get together and have a chit chat. And then we also hosted Small Business Victoria workshops. So we do Small Business Victoria workshop probably once a month. And then we would often do other either networking events or fundraising events. So we like to support the Father Bob Maguire Foundation, which is in the city of Port Phillip, which is our LGA. So we would host fundraising events for that. Since COVID, we haven't got back to doing any events because it's so hard to work out, like, how many people can you have, and are we actually going to be having, and all of those sorts of things. So I'm hoping that later in the year we'll be able to get back to doing a bit more of that.
Yes, let's hope. Melbourne's had it a bit hard with the lockdowns. So let's hope we can get back out there and it's happening. ICA, Independent Coworking Australia.
Yes.
Did it come about? And tell us a little bit about that.
So it started as Coworking Victoria probably 3 years ago, and a lady called Suzanne Vale, who owns it was Jam Jar Co-working in Collingwood. I think it's called Workplace Collingwood now. She started it as a means for just independent Victorian operators to come together. So she set up the Facebook group, and we had a couple of in-person meetups, but there wasn't a lot of us, and we were kind of, sort of flung far and wide because there was regional spaces as well. So we didn't have a lot of chances to sort of catch up. But we kept attracting more members, I think, just from the support angle and a bit of sharing resources and that kind of stuff. And then I spoke to Suzanne probably 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, and said, hey, how about we make it Independent Coworking Australia rather than just Coworking Victoria, because I knew people interstate, and there were just, it was obvious that there are a lot of other independent operators around the country that could use a group like that. So we made it Independent Coworking Australia, and then it just grew from there. And COVID really, I think it really came into its own during COVID, because it was a platform for smaller operators to be able to connect and to get really much needed support, not just from mental health, like being able to talk with other people who are facing similar problems, but also sharing a lot of resources. Because there was a lot of confusion, you would remember at the beginning, when COVID first started, about like, what do we do with contact tracing? Like, how do we manage this? How do we manage COVID plans? How are you managing cleaning the space? How are you managing your members? All of these sorts of things. It was so sort of disorganized, and when people just needed a place to be able to come to and ask questions. And then what developed from that is we almost all developed a really similar way of managing COVID, which I think was really good for the industry, because, you felt that you could promote your space as a really nice, safe workspace, knowing that other spaces around the country were doing the same thing. So yeah, it was a really good support, because a lot of operators struggled during COVID. So it was fabulous to have that. And now it has morphed into something else where we really want to use ICA as a vehicle to promote co-working in general. So COVID's obviously changed the way that we all work, and the way that we like to work. And so we want ICA to be a voice that government listens to when they talk about co-working, when they talk about flexible space. We really want to be the people that they come to and go, hey, how does this work? How can we promote this? How can we assist spaces in assisting small businesses to get back on their feet?
Yeah, I think I was trying to remember when I first joined the ICA. It might have just been before COVID, but it was just great to see another community particularly for ourselves as a startup space, people sharing and collaborating with other workspaces on how do you juggle, particularly COVID, and even all the offerings and what people are doing differently, and the people in their spaces and coming together. And it's a great group form.
Yeah, they really are. And the generosity of people it's so overwhelming. Like, people are more than happy to share their financial details and their business plans and their resources. And it's such a spirit of collaboration over competition. And I just think that has to be fostered and it has to be promoted, because there's more than enough to go around for everybody. And it's one of those things where it's like, if we all work together, we're going to create so much more than if we're all trying to work independently. So Independent Coworking Australia now, which you would know, Andrew, just from our discussions, is actually going to be turning into Coworking Australia. And we're actually going to be an incorporated association. So it will include some of the bigger operators as well, and, national multi-site operators. And I think that's just a fantastic thing to be able to promote co-working around the country.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really important to support even those small operators out there that are looking to grow their spaces. So you can connect with these larger organisations, but they're there to also help grow these smaller ones, and that's really important.
100%. And to be able to use that expertise and experience, and especially for regional operators, which can sometimes, they can sometimes actually be like the only operator for, a long way around. It's great for regional and certainly outer suburban operators to have that community, as you say, to go to and to bounce ideas off and to meet people and, do all that kind of stuff. I mean, hopefully we'll all be able to get together in person at some point.
Oh, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Some sort of national tour, I'm sure.
Yeah. A junket. I'm so on board for a co-working junket.
Well, I think we're already seeing that now, right? We're seeing people in local, close to one another, not too far away, actually supporting them and going and seeing their spaces and talking to them about it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. Well, I think that's it for us today, Fiona. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. It's so nice. And I love the work that you're doing. I love seeing all your videos of the different spaces you're going to and showcasing everybody. It's really fantastic.
Oh, great. Yeah, thanks. It's something we've been working towards, and it's great to share these other communities and seeing what other communities are out there and connecting them.
Yeah, it's great. And we're only going to get bigger and we're only going to get stronger. So, yeah, strap in for the ride.
Brilliant. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Fiona.
Thanks, Andrew. Lovely to chat to you. And I'll see you on Zoom very soon.
We'll be back there soon. Cheers.
Okay. Bye.
See ya.